we could just start, let's start with some introductions, and then we'll get started. Come on, start us off.
Good morning, everyone. This is Caroline with Communication and Public Affairs.
Jeff Garcia, County Attorney.
Good morning, Aaron White with Mana Resource Center.
Good morning, Dan Marlowe, Help and Hope Center.
Hello, Sasha Easton, Arapahoe Douglas Works.
Good morning, Chris Eubanks, Mayor Pro Tem, City of Castle Pines.
This might be easier to reach. Paulo Diaz, Family Tree.
Mike Paulhamus, The Rock Church.
Good morning, Jason Johnson, Director of the Metro Denver Homeless Initiative.
Artie Lale, Douglas County Housing Partnership.
Jason Gray, Town of Castle Rock Mayor.
Mike McIntosh, Douglas County Sheriff's Office.
Mike Hill, Douglas County Health Department, and glad to see another Mike on this corner again. We lost one recently.
Laura Hefta, Town of Parker, Town Council Member.
Tiffany Tito, Heart Team.
I'm Jennifer Eby with Douglas County staff. Can we go online and see if there are any introductions online?
Kristen Swanson, Douglas County Community Foundation.
Morning, Kristen.
Melissa Bortham, All Health Network.
Morning, Melissa.
Kirk Wilson, City of Lone Tree, Chief of Police.
Morning, Chief Wilson. Okay, well, I will pass it off to Commissioner Layden for welcome and overview of the agenda.
Great. Well, good morning, everybody. And I know that we have a few folks that are virtual and online, and I'm not sure if the tech is fully working, so we apologize. Please just put in the chat if you're having a hard time getting in. WebEx seemed a little bit wonky, but I think we have folks on WebEx right now. So good. Well, welcome, everybody. It is the April 10th, 2025 Douglas County Homeless Initiative. We continue to be fairly successful in Douglas County on the homeless initiative front, and that is really because of the work of each and every one of you. So we're greatly thankful for all of you, our municipal representatives, our leadership, law enforcement, faith-based partners, and nonprofits, as well as all of the citizens and the Heart team that have been so active in this space. We do have a pretty jam-packed agenda today. So we are going to talk a little bit about the Aurora Regional Navigation Campus, which Jen has been phenomenal at working through some of the more challenging logistics, but I think we have some really good updates from Emma Knight, the division manager from the city of Aurora, and Jim Gottlebecker. We're going to talk a little bit about the homeless prevention update with Stephen Dodrell. From the Community Programs Administration. We will have a executive committee member update, our Heart team update, as always, with just those point in time, sort of month by month, real-time metrics, and then we'll open it up for some public comment. So with that, I guess we'll turn it over to the Aurora Regional Navigation Campus. Welcome. There we go.
All right, how about now? There we go. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Emma Knight. I'm the manager of homeless programs for the city of Aurora. I've been working with a lot of other people on this regional navigation campus for upwards of 3 years now, and we're really excited about it. So just going to give you a quick update, and then we'll have some time for lots of questions at the end, hopefully. All right, so just in review, as a recap of what we've done so far and how we got here. So in summer of 2023, the Division of Housing had a lot of funding available that we applied for, along with several other jurisdictions. And we were awarded just over $15 million by DOH in order to create a regional navigation campus. We were not the only region that, or city that was awarded. Denver was also awarded, Tri-Cities, Boulder, and Jefferson County. So several of us are working on this as part of a holistic approach to addressing homelessness in the region. So it's not just Aurora, it's not just Denver, we're all working on it. So we received additional funding from Adams County, Arapahoe County, and you here in Douglas County, as well as put a lot of our own funding into this facility. And in May of last year, we purchased the Crown Plaza Hotel and Convention Center to convert into the Aurora Regional Navigation Campus. And that's a picture of the facility that we, from, I don't know, probably December, since there's so much snow on it. And so we've been working on that in the fall of last year. We started the design process, and we're working with our architects, HDR, to try to make it as trauma-informed as possible. Anytime you're working on a facility that already exists, you have to think a little bit more creatively because you're not building from scratch. You don't get to choose how sharp the corners are or things like that. So we started that, and just this last quarter, we started renovations, and in Q4 of this year, we're expecting to open the facility. So this is just an overview of where the funding came from and how much everyone contributed to get us up to just under $40 million for the purchase and renovations of the facility. As any project goes, we always need more money for additional renovations and other things, pie in the sky, things that we want to get done. So we're working on that in other ways. All right, so renovations, this is just a photo on the left of one of the hallways in the hotel block of what they've been working on there. So we've been doing exploratory testing, we've gotten building permits, started plumbing, the ballroom floor demo, which was all carpet. And you can imagine, you might not want carpet in a homeless shelter where everyone's gonna be eating and sleeping and just existing. That's a lot of wear and tear and we'll just get filthy. So started that demo. Rooftop, crane pit complete. We've been working on there's 2 elevators, and they were a little tricky, and we now have 1 fully operational, which is exciting. And the site permit, we're expecting to get in early June. This is a very busy photo, but it is kind of the layout of what we're looking at doing. So all that blue, that's going to be the overnight emergency shelter, tier 1 and tier 2. So with folks getting that congregate shelter space, and then a little bit more private, still congregate, but with a little bit more space for folks. The stuff in kind of the coral color is space for case management, training, things like job training, things like that. And then all the purple in the middle, that is the day center space where folks can just exist and get services in there. It's a really beautiful space. If you haven't come by to see the facility yet, we're gonna, I'm sure, have some kind of grand opening later this year, probably at the end of the year. So you'll get to see how beautiful this space actually is. And then at the very bottom in darker purple, that is the hotel block where we're gonna have that workforce housing as well as some respite beds and some additional training space on there. It's a full tower of hotel rooms, 255 rooms, so there's a lot of space in there. And then some of the yellow spaces, the yellow on the far left, that dark yellow, is where we're planning on having the kennel space for folks with pets. That was formerly a pool. Pretty proud of that creative reuse because you need drainage for pets. And then that top yellow space is staff area, and then the entrance to the facility where they'll be doing intakes and things like that. All right, and then I'm just gonna go through a couple photos of some of the renovations. This is that ballroom I was talking about, starting the floor. That was the crane on the left there. An exciting thing to see. All right, and so that was just the renovations, but what we've been doing in the meantime, we've been using that space that I talked about, that coral color, as a temporary use for overnight shelter. That started in January and will be ending next week, and we'll be shifting to the Aurora Day Resource Center for still having overnight shelter for folks. But we just needed nightly cold weather shelter for folks to make sure they're safe and have a place to be. So we decided we have this huge space we can use. Why not just use it? And Advance our operator was really fantastic and said, we'll take that on. And I think it was also a really great opportunity to kind of do a dry run a little bit in the facility as well. So that's been happening since January. As you can see, our numbers have been fairly high. Our March average was just over 100 people per night. And our limit of what we said we could do was 140 people. And as you can see, we were over that at our highest, because you're always going to try to make more space. If people want shelter, you're going to try to make more space when it's cold. So as I said, we're shifting to the ADRC, or the Aurora Day Resource Center, next week. And that's only because we need to complete renovations in that area that we've been doing that sheltering. So we just need to be out of the building in order to do that. All right, and now I'm going to call up Jim, the ED of our operator Advance, and I'll have him introduce himself a little bit more. And he's going to talk more about, I'm sure what you're all really interested in hearing about is the operational side of things, what we're planning, and I'll be up here for questions as well at the end. But Jim.
Thank you. Good morning, Jim Gobelbecker. Good to see you this morning. I just clicked on this. Excellent, great, thank you. Jim Goldbecker, Executive Director of Advance. A pleasure to be here this morning to be able to share a little bit more about Advance and the operations and the vision for the Regional Navigation Center. Advance started with 4 sober living homes, with the idea of being able to provide an opportunity for folks to have a structured environment in order to be able to kind of regain some of the aspects of their lives that have been challenging. But the original concept of Advance was created by people who were formerly homeless and formerly had a substance use disorder. We are informed by lived experience in order to be able to create a structure and a program that meets people where they are, while also tapping into, we hope, some of the motivation in order to be able to move forward and to change things for the better for their lives. We created a partnership with the Springs Rescue Mission for us to be able to benefit from their experience. One of the fundamental principles that we have as an organization and as our board thinking is we can't do this alone. We don't pretend to have all of the answers. We believe that we need to be an integral part of conversations with the community about developing programming that makes sense. And part of that first start is, well, let's benefit from an organization that's been doing this for 35 plus years. What is it that they've learned? What are their best practices? What's their guidance about things to avoid and things to try to try as new and different? So when we're looking at the campus, imagine coming into the lobby of what would be a convention center, but instead we call that the Welcome Center, so that everyone who's coming in is feeling like they have a place to be. And they're entering into a space which would be the day center. But upon entering into the day center, you're greeted by a person with a smile who says welcome and starts being able to share with that person where things are. And this day center is going to be an open space where people can sit. There's some recovery piece. And we use recovery actually in a very broad sense of the term. Whatever caused a person to become unhoused needs some recovery from that. So someone comes in, they're greeted with a smile, but also we want to focus on movement. So what is it that we can help you with today? Is it access to the laundry services? Is it access to a meal? What else might be available to you that is of need that we can help guide you with? Perhaps clothing. Well, shelter is going to be one of the obvious things. So we have 3 tiers of shelter. One of those tiers, and this is our official language usually, is emergency shelter or low barrier shelter, engaged semi-congregate shelter, workforce transitional housing. We think of them as tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 1, that emergency shelter, it's that acute care. It's what we think of as the compassionate part. Everyone is welcome, whatever their condition is. They are brought into one of those larger rooms that was under construction that was shown earlier. And that person is given a cot and basic meal service. But in that same room, imagine a cornered off space. So if it was all cots, and this was a wall, and people had a key fob to be able to go into that area, one of your first questions might be, what is that? And why do they get to do that? And it's a simple answer. They've chosen to engage with a case manager to begin to set some goals and milestones that are personal in order to begin to address or begin that pathway of recovery, broadly defined, like what got you here? What is it you think you need to do to get to a place that's not going to have this as your narrative for your future? There's skills that you probably have. What are those skills? Is there skills you'd like to acquire? What might those be? I'm interested in work. I would like to go into a culinary program. Excellent. Well, in tier 2, what we call courage is having the courage to be able to take that next step forward, to engage with that case manager, to start thinking about what a career path might be for a tax-paying job, not just day labor, but a tax-paying job, so that it could be sustainable longer term. That tier 2, you get a private bed, some storage, and some just more privacy. How do I do that again? Take a step forward. If you want to take a step forward, we're willing to be able to meet you. So now at tier 2, courage to move forward. I'm a part of let's say a culinary program for a couple of months, and I have the opportunity to get a full-time job. We actually have a partnership with CCL Hospitality providing our meal service. They're open to being able to hire some of the people that might be going through one of our culinary partner programs. So now you have a job. It might be on campus, but it might be someplace else. Now you get to advance towards tier 3. We get to celebrate your success. You get some more privileges. Tier 3 is what we think of as the hotel rooms, former hotel rooms. You get a private entrance. You have a private parking lot if you have a car. You get to stay there for up to 2 years so that you can pay off any debt. You're able to purchase a car, maybe a used car if you needed that, if public transportation isn't going to be the solution long term for wherever your job might be. You have different meal times so that you are building a community, and each floor has a community room in it so that people can connect with each other. As a part of tier 3, what we refer to as commitment, it's a commitment to that long-term sustainability. You pay up to 30% towards program fees. That's to help with the life skill of being able to budget for your rent each month and be able to create the skill of the budgeting, the process of paying, and recognizing that you need to be responsible in order to be able to retain the housing and be able to move forward. So goals, milestones, movement is really part of the key theme of what we're looking to be able to provide. We're looking to help people from surviving, that tier 1 acute care, to thriving, tier 3. We also want to be able to provide respite beds, 20 respite beds for people who are being discharged from the hospital. Instead of being discharged to the street because they don't have any address, they'd be able to come and stay for up to 30 days. As long as they can take care of themselves. We're not providing nursing care for them, right? But be able to recover from whatever happened that may have been happening on the street or an illness, they can come up for 30 days. We also want to be able to provide a clinic to help prevent some of the incidents, health issues that may show up for folks. So 2 exam rooms, a reception area, private medical office, Monday through Friday, access for healthcare so that we get to reduce the strain on the emergency room. In the navigation center, we're looking at providing those wraparound services. So workforce is one of those, but probably need vital documents first in order to be able to get to the next step. Might need some legal assistance. Happy to be able to provide that. Might need help with putting a resume together, interviewing skills, other wraparound services that the community has identified is important in order to be able to move forward. The community piece is important, being able to talk to more partners about what you feel from their experience is going to be necessary in order to be able to help people create movement forward. Addiction recovery would be one of those items also, and our staff would be, we would have staff, case managers that have addiction recovery experience in the background. Currently, we're at about 85% of our staff have some lived experience in recovery. We believe that's an important aspect of the services that we're providing. Not just talking about what someone could or should do, but actually speaking from the lived experience of this is how difficult it was for me to be able to move forward. I get it. We believe that there's a foundation of success is in safety. We want to make sure that everyone's coming through, their bags are being searched. We have our own security force on the campus. It's a large property, so we want to be able to have that security force on campus. Safety and security is part 1. For women and anyone experiencing trauma to be able to come into a new space, they have to know that they can be themselves, to be able to be a little bit vulnerable, to be able to open up. The other aspect is around competent and confident staff. If staff are feeling confident in the skills that they have, the training that they have, then they're going to be more competent in what it is they're doing. Competent and confidence, right? Be able to engage with individuals on a level that makes meaningful connections. That's where we start. That's what we're looking for. That's our vision. Happy to open it up for questions for Emma and myself.
Well, Emma and Jim, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming, and you are always welcome in our community, and we're really looking forward to more partnership and opportunities to help serve you in any way that you are really meeting the needs in the metro area. Wanted to thank you as well for the tour. We had the opportunity to join you in person last year and kind of poke around, and you gave us a really wonderful tour, and I'm really pleased to hear, frankly, Jim, that you've touched on so many things that we talk about in here a lot. And several years ago, when we first started the homeless initiative, we met with Jack Briggs at the Springs Rescue Mission, and he said feet and teeth. You know, that's usually the biggest. So pets, feet, and teeth, you know, are like the big ones, you know, if you can locate that on site. But his model of if you decide that you want to take certain steps forward, that we will reward you with like a day locker, or you get an opportunity to advance based upon your own initiative. And it's a really cool model that has worked there. So it's great to hear you talk about that. I know a major issue that we've been discussing here is co-locating services to make sure that there is that level of navigation. And I heard you say that you have wraparound services within a navigation center, and you touched on workforce, legal. I didn't hear mental health and substance use, but I'm sure that's part of it. Do you have more to share about that?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not going to be able to provide as a clinic mental health services, but we want to be able to partner with those we can refer to be able to provide those mental health services, and then also being able to refer out to recovery places, whether it's detox is often that first step. So other detox community partners, and be able to, once they've gone through detox, then we'd be able to provide additional services from there. We'll also have some transportation available so we can drive people to different appointments throughout, and it's going to be the greater Aurora. It'll be a typical route that we'll be repeating in order to be able to make sure people can get to appointments or be able to bring them back to the campus.
Okay. Well, I know one thing we know for sure in our limited work, but then certainly in the work of the experts for many, many years, is that, you know, the dual diagnosis and the co-occurring externalities are very common. So I imagine oftentimes you're encountering individuals that might have substance use disorder and or mental health issues right upon entry. So are you saying so when they come in, there's an intake and then they're transported off site, or how does that work?
Well, so for that tier 1 acute care, and we've experiencing now, we have EMS come every day. People are coming, experiencing seizures as they're coming off of the substance. So we want to be able to engage in a conversation. If transport to hospital obviously is going to be one of those first steps, but we want to see what it is that they are needing. So these are so commingled that we need to be able to figure out what is that best process of assisting, which is it and how is it both? Some will say, well, it was the addiction that caused the mental health, or is actually masking the mental health issues. And then there are mental health issues that have led to addiction and homelessness. How do you separate? That's the complex part. I don't have the answer. I know it's something that we need to continue to speak with partners about. What are you suggesting as an approach to begin to pilot in order for us to learn and then quickly adapt in order to have an impact?
Yeah, I want to open it up to questions for the entire group, and I apologize that so I'm also chair of the Opioid Council in Douglas County, and that group of experts is working on a medical detox facility that's co-located within a hospital. And what we're trying to pilot is the CSU, not the Go Ram CSU where I went for undergrad, but that crisis stabilization unit. Because if somebody is withdrawing from meth, breaks through a window, and then you take them to the ER, those docs are going to treat them for the broken arm or the bleeding or whatever, but aren't necessarily going to have the background or skills to do the medical detox that needs to occur. So having that co-located at a facility close by or right within the hospital is the model that we're exploring with both Sky Ridge and Common Spirit, which is coming to Douglas County. So we would love to talk to you more about opportunities there. Emma?
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I think that's a really cool model. And yeah, we would definitely love to hear more about that. I just wanted to add with mental health services, of course, while there will be things on site, it's not going to be a treatment facility for mental health. So what we're looking at is working with Aurora Mental Health. They're going to have their Potomac campus in Aurora, which will be a lot more for acute mental health services, things like that. So luckily, where we are in Aurora right now, we're getting a lot of other services nearby. There's also the Ridgeview campus that's going to be just outside of Aurora. So I think we're in a unique spot that we'll be able to refer folks to places that are close by so that they'll still be able to come back once they're maybe detoxed or in a better space mentally. And it's not going to be across the state like it would be if they were going to Fort Lyons, for example. But yes, I think having those experts on site to help with those mental health services and help identify those folks who maybe need that additional assistance and need referrals out. I think Advance is incredible and they're doing really good work, but they can't do everything themselves, which is why and where that co-locating comes from and comes in, and getting those other really experts in their field into the facility on a regular basis so they're providing those services as much as possible on site.
That's wonderful. That's great. Yeah, Mike. Did you have, did somebody, Chris?
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you for the presentation. I love the stepped tiers. As we get into step 3, one of the questions I have is, the increased independence, the increased privileges they have. With the housing in the tier 3, will those be reported to credit agencies? Because part of, I assume, some of these folks would need to build or rebuild their credit. So I'm curious if they will be reported so they have that, that building of the credit by the time they're done the program.
That's a great question that I had not yet thought about. So thank you for offering that. We will look into see how we can do that, how we can help someone's credit with that.
That's great. Mike, do you have a question? Oh, okay, good. I wasn't sure if you were pointing to Chris or, okay.
Love the presentation. Love what you guys are doing. I was curious, and maybe you said it in the presentation. I was trying to write some things down. But how do you handle children if they come into the facility, or and maybe I don't know if you do or not. And then what is the age that is allowed into the facility? And then another question is, if there's a married couple, how do you handle that?
Great question. So this is for unhoused adults. And we define adult as someone who's 18 or older. Couples, we want to be able to provide some accommodation for couples. Currently, we have spaces where couples can be next to each other, kind of period, right? But as we're looking at tier 2 and tier 3, those are some of the things that we still need to be thinking through of how do we actually manage that. We're concerned from a safety perspective with domestic violence. And so our initial thinking is we want to keep people separate, men and women separate, so that we are guaranteeing as much as we can, right? Being aware of the safety issue as it comes to domestic violence. Yeah, it's a tough situation. As it relates to children, Emma, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the shelter we had previously run by Mile High Behavioral Health Care, Comitis, co-located families and single adults, and we saw a lot of problems come up with that. And it's general best practice to not co-locate single adults with families with children. So when we started this process, we identified that our biggest population right now is single adults experiencing homelessness. So that was where we wanted to start with. So that's why we're not doing families at this facility and aren't accepting folks with children. It's just a safety issue for everyone involved. And we want to make sure that folks with offenses like sex offenses are still able to come on site without needing to worry about where they're at in the facility or worry about children being around. That being said, I think we're looking to the future of what we're going to be doing for families then, or how we can be working towards that in the future. So we're open to that. Talk to us about it. Talk to me about it. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great. Additional questions?
Well, I would like to make a comment just about the families aspect. The part of the reason why the commissioners chose to put the investment into goals was so that we would have an option for families. I realize it's limited, but that's where we would probably direct families that are coming from Douglas County. And I think you all are involved in that process. So we have, a referral network that we work with our different providers like The Rock to identify people who are in that situation so they can be referred to goals. So that is what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, part of that, and I'll get to you, Laura. I mean, I think part of that history that many of you were a part of was how do you address the unsheltered in our community that may have a criminal background or they're single men. And, the faith-based community has done such a wonderful job in Douglas County of addressing the needs of unsheltered people, particularly women and children that are in crisis. But for those single men, we were saying, well, gosh, what do we do? Where do we go? And it's really nice to have this partnership with you all that has really a no barrier entry. I mean, we know that we can just partner with you immediately. And we have a few other nonprofits ready to work in Step Denver that have also been fantastic. But huge thanks on that. Councilmember Hefta.
Thank you, Commissioner Layden. And this kind of question follows right on to what you were saying. In Parker, we have Step 7, and it is faith-based. And their success rate is very high. It's 94% of folks that come in that are addicted to drugs or alcohol or from the Douglas County Jail. And so I was wondering if you're offering or partnering or providing that information to your clients on getting involved in the community and faith-based, because that is a model for success for Step 7 in Parker. And when you get folks that go to their place of worship, we have some pastors here in the audience today, I see as well, that we've partnered with in Parker. Thank you for coming. That's sustained success, and people don't relapse when they believe in a higher power. So can you tell us what you're doing with that?
Absolutely. So recovery, and there's a lot of research around recovery, whether it's AA or other programs, have this faith component of believing in a higher power, is the language that's used. And we believe that is very important. Step Denver is actually, we have two members of Step Denver on the board, Paul Scudo and Megan, as their leaders, helping inform what it is that we are looking to be able to provide. One of the rooms that we want to be able to have at the campus is a meditation room. It's a room where people could have access to different faith backgrounds, resources, and to be able to refer out to other organizations that are providing some of those recovery services. We'll have some of the recovery services on the campus also, be able to host meetings. We want to be able to be an open space for other community partners to not only provide trainings for the folks that we're going to be working with, but as a resource for their own staff and for other people just to be generally meeting. As a non-faith organization, we can't openly promote any particular faith, obviously for funding reasons, but we do believe at its core that having some belief outside of oneself is very important for a path of recovery. Mm-hmm.
That's great. Additional questions? Yeah, Sasha.
Not really a question, but I just want, hello. Wanted to mention, so Advance has a priority in the Aurora Navigation Center. One of the pillars is workforce and workforce development. And we had a meeting last week to discuss how Arapahoe Douglas Works can ensure our services and resources are at the center. So I did want to highlight that. And Jim is coming to visit our center later today. So we will have a presence and ensure those individuals have access to our services.
That's a great point. Thanks, Sasha. Anything else?
I do have one other point I want to make related to what you brought up, Councilmember Hefta. The other, I think, component of that referral from Douglas County's perspective is that those referrals will be likely coming through the HEART team, and they're also aware of all those different resources. So if, you know, that is the better fit for somebody, I know that they're going to be looking at directing people to what is the best and most efficient for them. So I absolutely appreciate the kind of coordination and cooperation that you talked about. But, you know, I hope that will also help so that we can really find the best placement for people if they're in that space, right? One of my other questions, you mentioned that you'd have security force on campus. Can you talk a little bit about what that coordination looks like with Aurora's police department, and if there are other kind of security measures that are in place on the campus?
Yeah, so currently we are outsourcing security. We're using a security firm. It's been helpful. When we're at scale, it makes more sense for us to be able to have that team as a part of our staff. And that's what the Springs Rescue Mission has advised us with. We're not looking to, from a trauma-informed perspective, we're not looking just to remove people. We're looking to de-escalate and to be able to engage in conversations and to have those security incidents being an extension of our programming. Like, how do we need to have a conversation right now to be able to change the dynamic so it's not as aggressive or aggravated? So we want to be able to have that as a part of our own staff. But if things change for whatever the reason, the current firm we're working with is very open to be in conversations about what our programming approach or philosophy is, and then how they can help us. We've been working with them now for a number of months, and they've been very good. We integrate well with the Aurora Police Department. We called them many times. As it turns out, they're welcome on campus at any time for any reason. So we see it as a key partnership.
Yeah, I remember talking with Jack, and when we went down and visited the Springs Rescue Mission, I mean, he would often say that, you know, the community is incredibly safe, but right outside the doors are folks that are traffickers and gang leaders, and they are waiting for people to exit and for their people to come out. I mean, it's really a very tenuous situation. So I know we're often asked in Douglas County, how do you do so well? And it's not the big secret is right here, Mike McIntosh and public safety. It's the work we do to keep our community safe. And if the Aurora Navigation Campus can develop and continue a reputation of being this safe oasis for people that are unsheltered, what a tremendous success for you all. Yeah. So, and we'd love to talk more with you about that. I think that's a really important piece. Anything else?
One more question on my
You guys
end.
are in the hot spot. I'm sorry. We're very interested. We're very interested. Yeah.
Good.
Can you all talk about like when you feel like you'll be in the position to start accepting clients into the regional navigation campus?
Yeah, completely based upon the renovation schedule, but our goal right now is by that last week in October, first week in November, particularly as the weather starts getting cold. So it might be a partial opening depending on that schedule, but right now all arrows are indicating we're good to go, but it's renovations, right? So that could slip a little bit, but we want to be able to work with whatever space will be available in order to be able to provide services. Fully functional, as Emma had mentioned, Q4, late Q4, to be able to accept people and providing services.
Okay.
That's great.
Thank you.
And if you're not familiar, our superstar heart teams are right in the back, and it is really the secret to our success in the homeless initiative. Master's level folks that are paired with, you know, first responders, paired with law enforcement, and they're going out and doing such a tremendous job. So I know you'll be probably hearing from them quite often.
We're hiring.
I think we like our folks. We're a free county, but we're going to take care of our folks. But listen, you want to grow co-response. I will tell you casually that we're vice chair of the Metro Area County Commissioners, which represents half the state's population. And our advocacy at our last meeting just a few weeks ago was please make sure each county has a co-response team. And it doesn't have to be HARP, but something similar. And Denver has STARS. I know each community has something similar, but we would love to see that grow.
So I joke about hiring, but that's one of our needs. When we're reaching out to the community to support us, we're looking for quality people. And so whether it's workforce development, case managers, addiction recovery, like the best referral is someone who's worked with someone or otherwise. So I joke about that, but it's also a request. Like, keep us in mind where we are actively looking for quality people with the basic requirement of speaking with staff yesterday. So what is it, as bottom line, what you're looking for? Compassion and kindness. We can help teach other skills. We do need LCSW, so there are some credentials that we need, but basic kindness. And we've had to let some people go because they just didn't have that. But people you might know or networks within networks, bring them my way. I'd love to talk to people.
Well, thank you so much. How about a big round of applause for Emma and Jim? Thank you so much. And compassion and competence, I think that's everybody in this room for sure. That's kind of cool. So we'll move on to item 3, which is our homeless prevention update with Stephen Dodrell. Stephen?
Great. Good morning, everyone. Stephen Dodrell with Community Services. The Douglas County Housing Stability Program supports residents at risk of homelessness by providing a variety of services to help them maintain stable housing. This program was launched in 2024, and the services include rental assistance, utility support, case management, and connection to mental health, employment, and domestic violence resources. Eligible participants must reside in Douglas County and have an income at or below 30% of the AMI, which is just under $40,000 per year for a household of 4. Additionally, they must be at risk of housing instability, defined as losing their primary house nighttime residence within the next 14 days. The program's goal is to prevent homelessness by helping those at risk maintain their current housing while fostering long-term stability through individual case management plans. The program collaborates with local service providers to ensure that participants receive coordinated support tailored to their unique needs and circumstances. HSP partners include Catholic Charities, the Douglas County Housing Partnership, Advocates for Sheldon Casa, Manor Resource Center, the Crisis Center, and AD Works. We are very grateful to our community partners who have provided exceptional services in carrying staff to walk alongside these households during their times of need. This program would not be possible without their commitment, and many of them are here in this room today, so thank you all very much. The Housing Stability Program officially launched in August of 2024, and it concluded its first contract on March 31st. During this timeframe, the program assisted 7 households comprised of 25 individuals avoid homelessness. To accomplish this outcome, we spent just over $62,000 in assistance and provided over 70 hours of case management from our community partners. Douglas County has received $40,000 in 2024 HRP funds for the homeless prevention services, requiring a $20,000 match for a total project budget of $60,000. The board approved the 2024 HRP contract on March 25th with an effective start date of this April 1st. Building on the success of the Housing Stability Program, Douglas County aims to continue to provide targeted homeless prevention services to residents at risk of losing their housing. By leveraging the award of HRP funds, the program plans to assist another 4 to 7 families through financial assistance and supportive services. The Housing Stability Program remains committed to strengthening housing stability and support for residents in their time of crisis. So that concludes my update on the Housing Stability Program, but if time allows, I would like to provide briefly a success story from the Goals Program as well, if we have some time. So we recently had our first family complete their time at the Goals Program. We're super excited about their success, and they are transitioning into their own private rental situation, which is so exciting. This is a household of 10, and they were facing significant barriers to achieving self-reliance. Their success was made possible through a dedicated support of multiple local partners who walked alongside of them through their journey, which has been a years-long journey. I'd like to extend a special thanks to The Rock and Sharon Easton. She put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this household for sure. Catholic Charities has provided case management, Manor Resource Center. The Douglas County Human Services came alongside this family with TANF support. The Mental Health Collaboration has provided services and connected them to resources. Help and Hope Center provided tons of different resources and food assistance for them along the way. The Douglas County School District coordinating on transportation. The Goals team, of course, for their hard work and all their case management and getting this household stably housed. So really just a whole village coming together to support this family to the successful outcome. So we're very grateful and very excited to make this announcement of successful, stable housing for this household of 10. So that's it, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great job, Stephen. Any questions for Stephen? Okay. Well, moving right along, we're going to get through our agenda pretty quickly here. We're going to move into our executive committee member update, and I'm going to take a moment to pause because I really want to express some gratitude. From my lens, just sitting inside my head, I look around the room and I'm just very thankful, very, very thankful. I mean, Artie, what you do, I mean, obviously, Paolo, you shared a lot with us last time about Family Tree. Sasha, all of your work. I mean, when we talk about these success stories, none of it happens in a vacuum. It's all of us working together in our area of expertise, and it's really exciting. But part of the success we've had, we have 0 panhandling, 0 encampments, and only 6 unsheltered homeless as a result of our HEART team, our Handouts Don't Help campaign, each and every one of you, but particularly our municipal representatives. And I am such a huge fan of mayors and council members. And, our biggest struggle this year is, this focus on can we work with the private sector and the business community to encourage them to, sign those trespass letters, get people, doing the right thing within Home Depots and King Soopers and a Planet Fitness, not necessarily camping in parking lots. But the municipal representatives here are doing such great work. And I really wanted to highlight Mayor Gray and obviously Parker, Laura Hefta. I mean, those are really, really big municipalities within Douglas County, and you all are addressing this big lift this year. So thank you for your great work on that. With that, I'd like to, this last but definitely not least, I wanted to mention that I had a really, really cool coffee with a gentleman with us today, Mr. Jason Johnson. And it is a very big deal to us that you are here with us from Seattle. You've taken this new position. And the fact that you've engaged with Douglas County, I think, is really meaningful to us. So it was an honor to hear more about your background, incredibly impressive, and I know there's really good things to come. So thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. So moving to our executive committee member update, any executive committee member updates? Mayor Gray.
Not too much to update, except that we continue to make great success with our unhoused community and getting them into either shelters or housing in general, mental help, physical help, and it really has to do with the HEART team, CRT, and our police. And sometimes what we forget about are the side benefits. And really the side benefits for our police and fire is less calls from that community, which allows them to do other things that are important for their job. That community is important for their job as well, but they're getting less of those calls per week, like, dozens and dozens of those calls are less frequent. So it's just, those are the benefits from this kind of outreach that our CRT, our HEART team, and police and for Castle Rock. So I just want to mention that and give a big shout out to all those guys.
That's a huge point. You think about all those, again, those docs in the ERs, and it's again, the good news we'll never hear about how many lives were saved in critical incidents because they got to focus on healthcare and the HEART team focused on homelessness. I mean, that's a really good point. Any additional comments from our executive committee? Sasha.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide a follow-up update. So I had mentioned in the last meeting, we were hosting a job fair in concert with Douglas County School District. And at that event, there were 63 vendors and over 500 students who attended. And so wildly successful, and we're excited to continue to partner for events in the future. And also I wanted to share some good news that Arapahoe Douglas Works partnered with Denver County, Boulder County, Adams County, and Jefferson County on a grant application through DRCOG. And we were awarded $5.2 million in total, $1.2 million to Arapahoe Douglas Works specifically. And it's to train individuals in specific career pathways that are highly in demand in the area. HVAC installation, electrical occupations, plumbing, pipe fitting, and sheet metal, as well as building control management. So we're really excited for that. The plan is to train 3,800 job seekers over the course of 4 years in those occupations. So really excited.
We can't overstate that enough. I mean, we often say here, and you've taught us that the best form of welfare is a job. And when you can identify a way for a person to get on that pathway to self-sufficiency, it's so huge. Thank you for sharing that.
Sasha, if I could put you on the hot spot a little bit, would you share the grant that you just submitted for, that we did letters of support for?
Yes, absolutely. So thank you to the commissioner that did a letter of support. We recently applied to a U.S. Department of Labor federal grant for the homeless veteran reintegration program. So it's specific to veterans, either veterans that are experiencing housing insecurity or those that have some type of justice involvement and leaving a correctional facility. So we're hoping to be awarded that grant. And then we also have recently partnered with the state of Colorado and some other local areas on a Pathway Home grant, which is specific to individuals experiencing justice involvement. We've had that grant in the past. And it's a really exceptional model in that we work with them pre-release to get them work ready, do some training, and then we continue to work with them post-release. And so those two we're waiting to hear back. And then we also recently applied for a state of Colorado adult education grant with the hopes that we'll receive funding to enhance and make a broader GED program. Currently, we have a GED tutor, but we'd like to make it more robust with classes, one-on-one tutoring, and so hoping to hear back on that. So really some exciting potential opportunities. So I'll keep everybody posted once we hear back on those. But thank you for the letters of support. Really, truly appreciated.
Thanks for giving us the opportunity to support that.
Yeah, I just want to just extend our thank you to AD Works for exploring all those different opportunities because, you know, if agencies and ourselves included don't explore what those grant funds look like, you know, we can't provide those services often or we're limited. So I really appreciate you taking the opportunity to do that and explore that.
It's a big deal. Jeff.
Yeah, thanks. So a couple months ago, the Board of County Commissioners and the Sheriff's Department kind of informed us that there was a misunderstanding or a misperception in the community that retail theft wasn't being prosecuted or wasn't being reported. And my offices, as well as the city and town attorneys around the county, have worked on this. But I'm really actually reporting somebody else's story because to the commissioner's point, this is so many people working together. Our office is working to create a better tool for retail theft prosecution, but the DA's office, Castle Rock PD, Lone Tree PD, Parker PD, and the Sheriff's Department are all convening a summit of retail owners, businesses. So far, 30 businesses have been contacted to better understand their policies and better understand how we can support them, to protect them, and not have the misunderstanding that these types of crimes aren't being prosecuted or reported in our community. The information we get out of this will probably wind up in some kind of enhanced ordinance so that there is a better tool to both safeguard the people reporting, but also encourage reporting, and then make sure that there's a clear message that Douglas County is in a place where you can do these kind of crimes.
Jeff, thanks for that update. And that's exactly right. For those who, bless you, Mayor, for those that were not part of that original conversation, the reports we were getting is that within particular businesses, people were observed loading up carts of what, I mean, you know, literally like at a Home Depot, loading up tools and whatever they wanted, walking out the front door, and there might have been a corporate policy around just, you know, let them go, don't report. We are not encouraging anybody to get into a fight in the parking lot. We don't want that, but we do want to have any sort of crimes reported to law enforcement. So it's an education and information campaign that ultimately may result in an ordinance, to Jeff's point. But we want to continue to be a place where we are not perceived as a target, where people can go into businesses and just walk out with goods without paying for them, and that we remain a safe community. So thanks, Jeff. Any questions for Jeff on that particular piece? Okay. Any other executive committee updates?
We do have one online. Kirsten has her hand raised.
Oh, great.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for letting me join from online. I just wanted to update you that our fund is at just over $2,000, and I am really close to securing a matching gift for a Mother's Day themed fundraiser. So I will keep you guys posted. And Caroline, I will talk to you separately and see if we can't get that communication and marketing flowing a lot earlier than we did the Valentine's Day campaign.
Yeah, Kirsten, thank you so much. The Community Foundation has been a tremendous partner with us around that behavior change in Douglas County, encouraging people not to roll down your windows and hand money out of your door, which isn't safe for the receiver or the driver, but to redirect their generosity to the Community Foundation. So I know one thing we're talking about, and I don't know if today you're prepared to have maybe some initial comments, but I know that we're talking more as a county and certainly within this group around that particular communications campaign, around the Handouts Don't Help campaign. Is there an easier way for people to donate to the Community Foundation? We've got 70 signs deployed throughout the community. It's online, a lot of different platforms. We have the URL, which is really effective, but we're also talking about a QR code so that people can literally just instantly kind of hit that easy button and donate. And again, what Kirsten is talking about are all of those dollars that the community is donating, not out their window, but to the foundation, which goes right back to Dan and Help and Hope and many other great organizations in the community. So, Caroline?
I can give a quick update on that. A couple things. Number one is we are going to have a question about the Handouts Don't Help campaign on the community survey. So that I think will help us understand a little bit about whether or not people are seeing these signs and whether or not they're then taking the next step to donate. So that'll be a good research piece for us. We're also working with Ellie to put together a roundtable for businesses to kind of pick their brain, similar to Jeff's point, and find out what do they need to help promote this. But we did take a couple steps and just draft some window clings and posters that businesses could put up with a QR code to donate. I think one of the challenges with a QR code in the intersection is you're not supposed to be holding your phone anymore, so it would actually be illegal to access that QR code. But we could definitely use that QR code at businesses and other places where it's a little bit more accessible. So happy to show those drafts whenever you would like to see them.
Yeah, that's great. The real easy comment on that is most people feel really conflicted at intersections. And I always share the story of my 16-year-old daughter that used to have care packages in the passenger seat of her car that she would want to give out to people that were unhoused. And as a dad, you just kind of say, please don't do that. Please find which is, I love her heart. But it really is not safe from a traffic standpoint. You don't want to be stopping traffic or creating a situation that's unsafe for anybody. But for compassionate citizens, and most are, like my daughter, the foundation is such a great way to direct your generosity. You can still give, and you know that 100% of those funds are going to the right place. And I think that's really one of the reasons that panhandling has sort of dried up in Douglas County. The message is out, and people talk. People know that you can't really come to corners within our community and solicit donations. It's not gonna work out like it might in other communities. So, with that, any other executive committee member updates? Yes, please. Yeah.
All right. Commissioner Layden, thanks for the warm welcome. Good to be with all of you. Again, Jason Johnson, I'm with the Metro Denver Homeless Initiative. Less of an update and more of a commercial. We have the MDHI, or the Metro Denver Homeless Initiative, is the Homeless Management Information System Administrator for the state, and we'll be releasing 2024's HMIS data through a report we're referring to as the State of Homelessness. And it's the first time that MDHI will be releasing this report showing statewide data. So we'll be breaking down all of the information in the HMIS, or the Homeless Management Information System, statewide through a dashboard where each user can toggle between the various different continuums of care. So you can click on Metro Denver and look at what's happening in Pikes Peak, Northern Colorado. So you can go a little deeper with the data, but we're presenting the data as a snapshot of the issue statewide. So look for that to hit media, your inboxes, social media, be on our website the week of the 28th of April. Really excited to get that data in your hands. Also wanted to highlight, we are in role to plan and convene partners across the metro region, and we'll be hosting an event on April 24th at the Boulder Jewish Community Center. This is a day-long convening for all continuum of care partners. Our target audience here is folks that are really in the work: shelter workers, navigators, outreach workers, folks that are working in housing. And this will be a time for folks to gather and get important resources that'll help them in their jobs. The in-person registration is closed. We're full. So we've had 250 folks. That's the max that space will hold. But virtual participation is open. And so as an after-action item for me, I'll send registration information to this team so that you know how to participate if you're interested. Thank you.
Really great info, Jason. Thank you so much. Councilmember Hefta.
Yes, I'd like to give a shout out to my own Parker Police Department. Anthony Mazzio is our community service manager, and he is working with the businesses to get the word out. about the trespass letters and the handouts don't help signs. We had reorganized a little bit, and in Parker, we did fund the police department a little bit more money this year because of the increase in crime all over in Douglas County. And then I just really have to give a shout out to Tiffany Marcito and her heart team. I in Parker a lot. I'm driving around all the time. I have a part-time law practice in addition, and I had seen this gentleman in the corner by Safeway for years, just years, and a constant community complaint. And Tiffany and her team worked with him for years to get him into a shelter. And now he's in New York, and Tiffany's team followed up with him. And, you know, that's the kind of persistence that it takes for the Heart team. It takes years, not months, to help some of these folks. So we're so grateful for Tiffany and her team and this entire group. Thank you, Commissioner Layden.
Yeah, thank you. You guys have done such a great job of beginning with the dignity of somebody's name and just, it's a relationship before anything. Okay, last call for executive committee member updates. Okay, well, let's move to our Heart team update. Tiffany.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So this is our little dashboard that we created for this initiative. Heart enrolled 22 new clients last month. We received a total of 222 referrals. 23 clients exited our program. Fabulous shout out to our team for making 29 initial business contacts. They're going around talking about the Douglas County Homeless Initiative business page. The deputies are talking about trespass letters. The navigators are talking about the Heart team, our efforts to engage with clients and connect them with resources, along with the option for people to donate to the community foundation if they want to help in other ways. So good job, team. And last month, Sergeant Baca with the Sheriff's Office and I presented to Cherry Hills Christian School. This is our second year doing this. The fourth grade students at the school find joy in filling bags for those in need and giving them to our team so we can, in lieu, make sure that people have food, make sure they have hygiene items in the community if they haven't had any of those items in weeks or days or what have you. So shout out to the students at the Cherry Hills Christian School for being so generous and really wanting to give back to the community in a creative way. With that, I do want to let the group know that we have 41 active clients on our caseloads right now. 34 households, and 4 of those are families. So we are actively case conferencing those families each week to make sure that we are strategizing the best place for them and making sure that, you know, those families, especially with children, can get off the streets. So the next one is our success story. And one of our navigators, Alyssa, she's not here today. She works on the other side of the week, received a referral through our Heart website of a newly homeless woman in Castle Rock. She was living out of her vehicle, had a lot of issues with money and medical issues. Alyssa connected her with those immediate resources for food, clothing, gas, while they were working together with other nonprofits in the community to try to find housing solutions. Alyssa was able to use a little bit of hotel vouchers during some cold weekdays during last month. Some local churches provided temporary relief. And this woman was determined to find housing. Every day she was filling out housing applications. And within a month and a half, she got into Unity on Park. So that was really amazing. So shout out to Alyssa and our nonprofits who worked together to help find this lady a housing solution.
How about a round of applause for that? Good job. That's great. It's a great story.
All right, so the next slide just kind of breaks down the new enrollments. So like I said, last month we had 22 new enrollments compared to 24 in February, and last March we had 30. So definitely we're getting into that season of transition, people leaving Colorado, coming to Colorado. So it's not very consistent. We're, just rolling with the flow at this point, trying to get people to where they need to be. And here are the enrollments over the last year. Like I stated, it ebbs and flows each month. And obviously we're down in March of this year than last year. And then the households that received one or more service last month were 54, compared to 46 in February and March of last year. We're only 26 households. So definitely making sure that individuals are connecting to more resources. And as our team grows and as new resources are coming up, we're connecting individuals to more. And then here are our services over the last 12 months that we were able to provide to our clients. And as you all are aware, January was our highest month due to multiple days of cold weather. And then our referrals by location, we do a lot of outreach in Highlands Ranch, also working with our municipalities in Castle Rock, Parker, Castle Pines, and Lone Tree. But Highlands Ranch typically is our highest due to the bus stop. We have, the light rail coming to Lone Tree and the sheriff's office right there, the substation. So typically Highlands Ranch has been our highest referral source. And then our exit outcomes, last month, we had 17% of the 23 clients get into permanent housing, 22% were in temporary housing. That could be either temporarily staying with family members or friends, or in a sober living program, different variety of housing resources that provide that temporary support. Emergency shelter, 31%. 13% were closed due to no contact after multiple tries to get a hold of these individuals. And then 17% wish to remain homeless, but out of Douglas County. And that is all I have to report for this month, unless anybody else has any questions.
Well, that's great, Tiffany. And, I appreciate Jason's comments so much. One of the nice things about this homeless initiative is we have all of our data and it's independently verified in a real-time basis. So we have great numbers, and thank you for keeping that dashboard for all of us. Any questions? Yeah, Chris.
Would you mind just refreshing my memory? When you say referrals, like I just looked, 17% came from Castle Pines. What exactly does that mean?
So a referral could be anything from a call to the sheriff's office that somebody is panhandling, or they are living in a tent on someone's property. It could be a call to our hotline. We have a referral for our community partners that they can submit to us if they come across an individual who needs more housing resources or homeless assistance. We have a public referral form on our website, so any member of the public can get on the Douglas County Has Heart website, submit a referral on behalf of somebody, and then ultimately businesses can contact us. And then we do a lot of proactive street outreach. So during our downtime, when we're not responding to active calls or addressing follow-ups with our clients, we're out in the community, under bridges, driving around all of Douglas County. We're about to break out our e-bikes to start hitting the trails. So that is where the majority of those calls are coming from. We've done a lot of outreach specifically with businesses in Castle Pines, because we want to make sure that the word is out about Heart. If they see somebody, traveling through I-25 and they stop in Castle Pines, who can they reach out to if it's an individual that needs help getting to that next step? Yeah, you're welcome.
Tiffany, can you also talk a little bit about the clients that are exiting? I know that's kind of a relatively new measure for us, so Can you talk about what that includes?
Yeah, so when an individual exits from the program, there's multiple steps before that piece. But we will log our services that we're helping them with, whether that's an ID, food assistance, getting them connected to benefits. And then when, let's say the success story that I was talking about, we'll log that in HMIS, like Mr. Johnson was talking about, as a permanent housing because they were placed in their apartment, and we helped them with that. So we would exit that client from the system as permanently housed. Or if we referred them to a shelter and we connected them with a case manager, we would exit them as that they are now in an emergency shelter. So based on those different exit outcomes, on the report that I pull through HMIS, it breaks it down whether that's logged as a temporary housing solution, a permanent housing solution, and so on and so forth.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, and I think what's really important for this group, I mean, we talk about sheltered versus unsheltered homeless, and then, you know, the big statistics around encampments, you know, panhandling, and then what that looks like out on the streets. So where are we at with panhandling, encampments, and unsheltered homeless?
Unsheltered homeless, I think we have under 6 at this point. I can get you the exact number. Okay. Most of them are either in their vehicles, like we're trying to address that piece. Most of them, it's under 6.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was your other question?
Well, I mean, we always report that statistic when you did the official point in time that there are no encampments, there's no panhandling in the county. And I think anecdotally, most people when they drive around, that's what they experience. But, you know, that real-time data I think is really important to us. And so, you know, kind of tag teaming on Chris's comment, I mean, we're seeing a lot of outreach and referrals. So is it you're just nipping it in the bud as you get the calls?
Yeah, there are no active encampments right now.
That's awesome. Okay.
And I don't believe the team has seen a panhandler in weeks, but
it's great. That's just
they're
incredible.
giving me a thumbs up.
In a community of 400,000, that is amazing. So, okay, any other questions for Tiffany?
Kirk Wilson has his hand.
Okay, Kirk.
Sorry, I wasn't in line. I don't know. I think my video's not working for some reason, but we have had a couple of camps that popped up. But we really, you know, to your point, we've nipped those in the bud really, really quickly. And we really haven't had any sustained camps anywhere in the city that I know of for, I want to say, going on 12 months. And the panhandling, to Tiffany's point, is much improved, if not completely gone throughout the city. So we much appreciate our team's effort in that and the collaboration with our PD. So thanks.
Well, Chief, it is really meaningful that you're on this call, and many people may not know this, but this homeless initiative started as a result of leadership coming out of Lone Tree, and we often say Lone Tree is the big welcome sign to Douglas County in the north, right off of Lincoln and I-25. So we know you bear a great deal of that burden and that work, and you are right. I am from District 1, I live in Lone Tree, and it is really, you've done a great job, so thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, anything else for Tiffany? All right, well, in our remaining couple of minutes here, I want to make sure we open it up for public comment. We didn't have anybody sign up, but I still want to make sure there's an opportunity for anybody from the public to comment. Anybody in person or online? Okay, not seeing anybody in the room. Is there anybody online that wants to comment?
I'm not seeing anyone online.
Okay, well, with that, how about the gift of time? We got 5 minutes to spare. Thank you so much for being with us today. Enjoy this beautiful spring day in Douglas County.